Hey, my friends, in this series of short videos, I got to keep them under 3 minutes so I can post them in a bunch of different places. And if somebody would like to put these together, please do. If you want to share these, please do. In fact, that's the whole point, is the strategy that I'm going to lay out in these next 5 or 6 videos will change the world. It's a political campaign strategy, because while I do not trust governmente at all, while I very much understand that governmente is the core problem of our world, our belief in authority instead of our belief in the real authority of this natural God's divine system. So I'm going to keep them quick, and starting with a campaign strategy that the campaign itself over the next 15, 16 months will completely change the world. Imagine your favorite politician, right? Somebody ethical, somebody courageous, somebody that's speaking out against the current insane narrative of control. Imagine that politician going into a school, surrounded by kids, and declaring that he's going to reverse childhood diabetes and disease and depression and pharmaceutical drug use. How? By teaching permaculture in the schools and by taking all the poisons out of the school lunches and the school properties and the minds of the kids. This indoctrination system is a core part of our problem. So the politician is surrounded by kids and they're planting seeds. So this is an actual campaign stop where the politician is in the ground with the kids planting seeds and saying, this is how we reverse diabetes and illness. And the kids are then planting their own perennial edible landscapes, their permaculture food forests around the school properties in logical areas. What will happen when the chief of this United States corporation, and we won't go down that whole tangent, what would happen when they use that same resource that's already being used to indoctrinate and enslave, and instead use that to free the mind and the stomach and the health of our students, of our future? Well, that one thing would change the world, right? So that is one campaign stop. Now I'm going to get into a few more. The next campaign stop will be that same politician at a prison, surrounded by inmates, logically, of course, my friends, and he's teaching the inmates of the prison how to be of service to humanity. The ethics and the principles of permaculture are freaking amazing. Why? Because permaculture mimics nature, God's design. Permaculture is simply modeling after what already has been proven to work in a natural system. So the politician, and I've got my favorites in my mind, is in the prison system, inmates all around, and speaking to the world and through the inmates. This is how you create all of your own food. And this, by the way, is an opportunity for if and when you get out of prison, you will have a skill that you can use to help create freedom and abundance for our world. Can you imagine that? And guess what? It's already been done. Not the whole picture that I'm describing now, but there have been gardening programs in California, and the recidivism rate, the reincarceration rate, the rate of prisoners getting out of prison and then committing another felony and going back to prison went from over 60% in one study to under 10% after 3 years of a gardening program. I'm going to pause there for a second. That's the end for the most part. And I mean that literally, for the most part, meaning more than 50%, that's the end of crime. So the politician can make the claim, I'm going to end crime by way more than 50% over the next 4 years by implementing these programs in all prisons, using the same resources that are currently being used by us, the taxpayer. And by the way, this one program saved the California taxpayer $40 million. It works. It's a proven fact that it works. It's not a hypothetical. It's a fact. It's demonstratable, and it has been demonstrated. That one thing, if the Nobel Prize were legit, would win the Nobel Prize. Imagine the school, the prison, Now I'm going to stop and pause and get to the next one. Now that same politician, your same favorite politician, is in a city park, an opportunity zone, right? Let's rise up the most suffering among us. Because if they're suffering, it is a sign of disease for all of us when we allow anybody else to suffer. So let's go into the opportunity zones of our world, right? Which is another name for places where most people eat poisonous foods as a regular, where diabetes, cancer, and heart disease are off the charts, where the life expectancy is very low compared to the fancier suburbs where people eat sometimes poison-free food. How logical is that? Imagine when this same politician is in the city parks and they're designing and installing a food forest with hundreds of types of food growing all over the place. All around, there's food abundance where anybody in this park, the homeless, everybody, can go into this park and they can get a nutritious, healthy, and delicious meal. What would that do to the value, the health, the wellness, the abundance of these areas, which are currently, by the way, for those of you thinking of it in monetary terms, they are the vampires of our communities in some ways, not compared to the government, of course. But what I'm saying is those areas are a liability to humanity. They're an expense to humanity. We could twist that by doing this one logical frickin' thing. And the politician is surrounded by a diversity of people from all walks of life and backgrounds. And he's helping them see the light, see the truth, see the abundance, and putting these food forests in city parks and communities all over the world, or all over the United States, right? So in other words, using the exact same resources that are used to poison and enslave and destroy our world, those resources could be used to completely free the health and the minds of humanity. Right? That's the third campaign stop. Get ready for another one. Number 4, the same politician is in a foreign army base in, let's just say, a Muslim country, a country that we have been villainizing and demonizing for a long time. And they are working with the people, and they are turning that army base. By the way, it's a fraction of the resources that we are using for war. A fraction of those resources, 1% of the military-industrial complex would create peace on Earth in no time. The main thing is taking out the poison, which is the military-industrial complex. That's one of the many. It's all one. It's evil at the top. It's BlackRock investing in the destruction of our world at the top. It's all the same thing, run by a computer named Aladdin. So imagine now this politician is surrounded by wonderful generals and colonels and all the different people in the military. And those people have put down their guns. They have exchanged the lead seeds of liberty for true seeds of liberty, the fruit tree seeds and the plant seeds. And they're in this army base and they're creating a nursery, a Garden of Eden. And they take, let's say, 12 months as they're coming home bit by bit by bit. And within 12 months, that Garden of Eden is handed over with the most sincere apology, not from our actions, but from the predecessors who have done so much harm. And it is truly not our need to apologize for people who are not us. But I think the act of sincerely letting those countries know, those communities know that we are different. And here's the proof. We are going to demonstrate our difference, our ascension in awareness, our thoughtfulness. We are going to demonstrate it in the most profound way. We are going to leave them the Garden of Eden, and we are going to train and teach whoever wants to learn in that community how to propagate plants, how to use that nursery and all of the water catchment and energy storage and all of the different components to create freedom and abundance in their communities. That is an act that will change the world. What do you think? Those are a few. I'm going to probably pull in one or two more. In fact, I will. I've got one or two more. A lot of people are saying, well, how can this be done? It's too big of a change. Well, with the previous 4 campaign stops, no, it's not. It's just a wise, ethical, moral, and logical tweak in awareness. That's all it is. It's the awareness. Once we become aware that the most selfish thing that we could ever do for ourselves, and I'm talking to all those people out there who are living in fear and living in scarcity and living with this idea that they've got to stack billions of dollars and win some kind of freaking game while producing poisons for our world. You guys are going down or you're going up. You want to go down? Keep doing what you're doing. You want to go up? Then tweak your awareness and use your resources to serve humanity, and guess what will happen? Well, there's a story that comes to mind. Now, I don't know where this originated. I'd love to give credit to the originator of this story or the truth of it, but there was a king and his first general. And the king noticed that when the king made a decree, because king was a really nice guy, by the way, or at least that's what his image in society was. He was a really nice dude. And when he made a decree, people kind of went, king made a decree. Okay, good king. When the general made a decree, because he was a badass mofo, people did it. People said, the general made a decree. We better rise, the blue flag or whatever the decree was on a certain day, because the general said we got to do it. If we don't do it, we're probably going to be beheaded. Well, the king said, General, I've noticed something. When I make a decree, nobody pays any attention. When you make a decree, people listen. So let's switch roles. I'm going to be the badass, and you become the good guy. And the general, being much wiser than the king, said, I like that idea. Let's try it out. Right? The king remained his power. He was still king, but he became a badass. The general started doing things to serve humanity. Well, they beheaded the king and made the general king. So, do you want to be beheaded, or do you truly want to be king? And I'm not talking a ruler. I'm not talking about somebody who uses force and violence to control the minds and the actions of humanity. I'm talking about a king within your own world, a king that is free from the fear and scarcity that is currently driving you. You want to do that, then use your resources wisely. All right, I've got another video coming. Here's another energy structure. And there are many, many, many more, of course. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm just rambling off the top of my head, solving all the world's biggest problems, because I've been focused on this for 15 years. It's not, I do know that there is divine guidance. I absolutely experience it every day. But it's also not like I'm hearing voices, right? I have heard a voice once, and it freaked me out. It was pretty cool. And it was a woman's voice saying, follow me, and something, and it just got really weird and blurry, because I think I was so startled that I somehow cut that voice off. Come back, voice, I'm listening now. Anyway, so this energy structure called True Green or Massey, or all of the lawn care companies that are destroying our planet by spraying glyphosate. Imagine when we help those people, we invite those entities to see that spraying compost tea with worm castings is way less expensive as a product to produce on the financial level. You can produce it right in your shop there. You can produce all you want for almost free. Or you can continue to spray poisons on the lawns. Now, the poisons are unsustainable, and they will lead to the death of our world. The other thing is the exact opposite and will lead to massive abundance. So True Green and Massey and all of you entities that are destroying our world, which one do you want to choose going forward? Do you want to stick with the poisons that are destroying our world, or do you want to go back to things that will build our world? Well, if somebody in the position of power, and again, I want to state that I believe everything should be voluntarist. There should be no force and violence. Unless somebody's committing force and violence against us, then we should do everything in our power to stop that. But as far as a governmente using authority to control the minds and the actions of people that are doing no harm to the world, that's bullshit. Now, True Green is doing harm to the world. So what do we do about it? We invite them by showing them that there's no two ways about it. And maybe the people at the top, like one of the oldest investment firms in the world that owns that entity and who's partners with BlackRock, which is not only the name but the current intention of the entity, imagine that making a simple switch. Boom. Now we have the trucks, the vats, the bins, all the different stuff. Wash that shit out, put compost tea in there, and now we've got the whole brigade of world healers going out and healing our world, our soil. And then we've got the farmers. And this is where the biggest opportunity is to inspire, to invite, and engage the farmers in the conversation and demonstrate a better way. Demonstrate to the farmers who know this already. Farmers, the reason not many people are going into farming right now is because it's a treacherous, brutal job. Most farmers using poisons on the land, and they know they're suffering, they're sick about it. They see what's happening to the life, the biodiversity of their land that has oftentimes been in their family for generations. This is our opportunity because these are good, hard-working folks that simply were sold a bill of goods and they bought it. And now they're using those poisons which are destroying their land. Their yields are going down, their insurance rates are going up, the climate freaking geoengineering is destroying a lot of shit. When we engage the farmers to let most of their land go back to seed and go back to the Garden of Eden, to abundance, to nature, and we help them create food forests, permaculture designed food forests. We get together with the farmers. We take out the supply chain and we go direct to the farmers. And we say, we are here to support you. You just got to take out the poisons, because we will not support you if you grow with poisons, which, by the way, is happening all across the world. It's beautiful. It's also can be destructive. So that's why it's our opportunity. We need to start approaching the farmers, and the farmers need to open up and say, hey, I'm willing to have your help. And then we share in the bounty. Of course, we take out the property tax. Of course, we serve each other locally. When we can grow food locally and create all of the local needs, all of our needs locally by coming together as community. In fact, that's my next video. It's going to be about community. So it's time that we come together as community. Local self-reliance is the answer to all of this. Local community, local support, create food structures, energy structures, support structures for the elderly and for the kids and for everybody in our community. When we create these support structures, which, by the way, are logical on every freaking level, right? I mean, we talk about this often when I'm taking people around our food forest here. 15 months in the ground and produces a massive amount of food. Everything here, all these trees, over time will produce exponential abundance. And where is it going to go? It's already going into our community at scale. We've got community members all over the place putting in more food for us because we're aware that the food supply chain, the current system, is unsustainable and it's failing now, right? So it's time now to get your annuals in the ground for quick production and your perennials in the ground for long-term freedom. Right? Perennials equal long-term Garden of Eden freedom. You just walk around, there's food everywhere, and you don't have to maintain it. That's so nuts. Annuals, tiny bit of maintenance relative to the value, if you know what you're doing. So that's why permaculture design is so incredibly important. So come together as community and lift up those who are helping to support. Talk about it. Share it with your friends and family. It's really the fundamental step into creating a free world, how it always used to be, by the way. You know, I lived with the Maasai in Africa, and they are completely self-reliant. There's no grid there. They're 100% built on community. They have incredible parties. I mean, holy shit, I was at one. It was freaking profound. I was even doing the jumpy thing with the Maasai, man. It was so cool. Oh, man. And just beautiful people. Just heartfelt, sincere, present people. Come together. Study community. And quit bitching about your neighbor, man. Right? Start seeing everybody as a reflection of yourself. If you're angry at somebody, recognize the anger in you. Just let it go. And what's going to happen when you let it go? Magic, miracles, divine intervention. And most importantly, peace in your heart. And this will be the final video for today on the topic of the campaign strategy. I've noticed something with all of the candidates. They spend most of their time pointing to the problems. Some of them spend all of their time pointing to the problems in such a way that causes anxiety and division. When I see a political candidate, when we see a political candidate that focuses on the solutions that I've laid out very clearly. Anybody wants to debate this, talk about it, anybody thinks it's impossible, let's talk about it. Like, let's have a debate about this. So anyway, back to the candidates. When one of them points to the problems, but spends most of their time detailing how they are going to solve the problems, that candidate will quickly become the world leader. Whether they win the presidency or not because of all the fraud going on, none of that will even matter. A campaign run the way that I am describing here, with all of the energy and resources going into that campaign alone, let alone the fact that we will all, every ethical person in humanity, will step up and support that freaking candidate. From all across the world, that candidate will be rained and showered all these good things. And support will come from everywhere, including, I believe, from the divine. Because this is the plan. It's our destiny. It's the Garden of Eden. To achieve that, to win that, we just simply have to serve again and work with nature and expose the poisons and the poison producers, but more importantly, turn our backs away from them. Expose them for one point so we can take our energy, which is fear and scarcity, is the ultimate control mechanism. Take a breath. Go walk with nature. Observe. Be present in this epic moment to be alive. Feel it. If you want to find the secrets to the universe, experience the present, the gift from God, the now. When you experience the now fully, then when you get messages and they feel good, then take action. It's time, my friends. Love and have a great day.